Have you ever encountered an individual so audaciously impolite that you were compelled to pause and ponder, did they genuinely utter those words aloud? It is as if their inflated ego precedes their physical presence. These are the individuals who habitually interrupt your speech, casually dispense disparaging remarks as if it were commonplace banter, and navigate the world with the presumptuous demeanor that they are owed a universal apology. Amazingly, they anticipate your acquiescence, expecting you to simply nod, smile, and absorb their behavior as though your personal boundaries hold no significance. However, allow me to unveil an uncomfortable truth: disrespect flourishes only in environments where it is tacitly sanctioned. And the majority of us? We have been conditioned to maintain silence, to preserve a semblance of peace, to passively endure mistreatment while our inherent dignity is gradually eroded, fragment by fragment. But what if I were to inform you that silence, when originating from a place of apprehension, is not an indicator of strength, rather, it represents a form of capitulation? In this very presentation, we are poised to deconstruct the fallacy that maintaining composure equates to remaining passive. We shall illuminate how genuine power manifests itself when confronted with disrespect. There exists a specific manifestation of silence that reverberates with a force more resounding than any vocal outburst. It materializes when you consciously determine to cease justifying your inherent value to individuals who lack the requisite qualifications to even question it in the first place. Therefore, let us embark on a journey of empowerment, reclaiming our voices and asserting our boundaries with unwavering conviction. Let's redefine silence not as a shield of fear, but as a potent weapon of self-respect. Thus, we can create a world where our dignity remains intact, unchipped and unyielding. Therefore, prepare to unleash the power within, and let your silence speak volumes. Have you ever encountered that frustrating scenario? Someone adopts a condescending tone, speaking to you with an irritating air of superiority. It's as if they've completely overlooked the fundamental principle that respect is a reciprocal exchange. You find yourself internally questioning, did those words genuinely just escape their lips? The initial impact is momentarily stinging, yet a profound internal shift then occurs. Suddenly, you perceive a crucial realization: you are not obligated to mirror their negative energy. You possess no inherent need to retaliate in a similar fashion. Instead, you can consciously opt for strength over a dramatic display. Consequently, in that pivotal instant, you reclaim your personal authority. This isn't achieved by responding with amplified vehemence, but rather by resolutely maintaining a composed sense of self-respect. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a beacon of Stoic philosophy, penned the insightful words, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This quote deeply resonates within my very being. This is because when you counter disrespect with unwavering dignity, you accomplish more than merely safeguarding your inner peace. You effectively starve the other person's ego. Rude individuals often harbor a craving for chaos. They thrive on eliciting emotional responses and revel in the sensation that they have successfully provoked you. Thus, when you deliberately deprive them of that desired satisfaction, that constitutes the genuine sting. That truly embodies power. Stoicism imparts a valuable lesson, one that we regrettably often overlook during moments of heated emotion, that our reactions are the sole elements over which we exercise genuine control. Therefore, by mastering our responses, we effectively disarm those who seek to diminish us, emerging as the true victors in the situation. So, the next time someone tries to belittle you, remember the wisdom of Aurelius and choose the high road of dignity. It isn't their words, nor is it merely their intonation, it is fundamentally the manner in which we elect to confront a given situation. When you articulate, "I do not lower myself to your level," you are not exhibiting passivity. Conversely, you are acting with deliberate precision. You are, in essence, delineating a boundary, a firm line in the sand, without encroaching upon their territory. The eminent Carl Jung, a pioneering figure in analytical psychology, posited that every facet of another individual that incites irritation within us possesses the potential to guide us towards a deeper comprehension of our own selves. This concept, admittedly, formerly provoked a sense of frustration within me, particularly because when one encounters disrespect, the immediate inclination is seldom introspection. However, with the passage of time and through accumulated experience, I came to understand that maintaining composure in the midst of another person's tempestuous outburst allows for a clear assessment of the progress one has achieved. The former version of myself would have undoubtedly erupted, vehemently endeavoring to substantiate a particular viewpoint, striving to seize control of the environment. But now, I abstain from engaging in adversarial contests with individuals who are already embroiled in their own internal conflicts. Disrespect flourishes in an atmosphere of clamor and commotion. Its perpetuation is contingent upon people's interaction with it, their contribution to its sustenance, and their orchestration of dramatic displays. However, when one permits it to expire quietly, it is effectively deprived of any avenue for propagation. It finds itself asphyxiated within the confines of your silence. Consequently, your tranquility transcends the mere realm of personal development, it constitutes a display of psychological dominance. The next occasion on which someone addresses you in a condescending manner, attempts to provoke you, or endeavors to ensnare you within their chaotic spectacle, bear this in mind: there is no obligation to engage in combat, no requirement to recoil. All that is necessary is a solitary sentence, delivered with unwavering calmness, which terminates the exchange before it truly commences: I do not lower myself to your level, and then, simply, depart. This act, seemingly simple, is a powerful declaration of self-respect and an assertion of control over your own emotional landscape. It showcases a profound understanding of human interaction and a commitment to maintaining your own inner peace, regardless of external provocation. Allow them to dwell within the echoing emptiness, to truly comprehend the palpable void left by your lack of response. This, indeed, is a formidable influence, one that cannot be manufactured and will undoubtedly leave an indelible mark upon their memory. A peculiar sort of quietude descends when an individual attempts to goad you, and you, in turn, elect to remain impassive. Initially, they anticipate the eruption, the elevated tone, the defensive stance. However, when such a reaction fails to materialize, when all they encounter is serenity and lucidity, a disquieting shift occurs within them. They come to the unsettling realization that they have relinquished command of the situation. That precise moment signifies your triumph because, the instant you cease dedicating your precious energy to the propagation of disorder, you metamorphose into something beyond their capacity to manipulate, a steadfast flame amidst a tempestuous chamber. A great many individuals traverse their existence as emotional absorbers, assimilating each and every insult, every veiled act of hostility, every subtle glance that registers as somehow amiss. They internalize everything, permitting it to erode their very being, thereby molding their emotional state, their verbal expressions, and ultimately, their entire day. Nevertheless, an alternative path exists, a more judicious approach. The Stoic philosophers firmly believe that authentic fortitude resides not in the vociferousness of one's riposte, but rather in the minimal degree of external validation one requires. Thus, true power lies not in the reactive explosion, but in the calm, unyielding strength to choose silence. This conscious choice to withhold reaction is a testament to self-control and inner peace, a fortress against the storms of external provocation. It is a demonstration that one's emotional state is not contingent upon the actions of others. Therefore, by embracing silence, you assert your autonomy and deny others the satisfaction of eliciting a reaction, ultimately solidifying your own strength and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, the esteemed Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wisely proclaimed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This profound assertion resonates far beyond mere pleasantries. It serves as a veritable life strategy, a pathway to inner resilience. The crux of the matter lies in the ultimate acceptance that your tranquility, your inner peace, is your own domain. Consequently, you cease dispensing it freely to individuals who have not demonstrated the worthiness to receive such a precious gift. When an individual's actions or words can no longer incite a reaction within you, they effectively relinquish their control over your emotional state. Indeed, the more readily you react, the more transparently you unveil your vulnerabilities, your emotional buttons, your underlying fears, and your inherent insecurities. Conversely, when you steadfastly safeguard your peace, when you protect it with the vigilance one reserves for sacred ground, you attain a state of untouchability, a shield against external negativity. The eminent Swiss psychiatrist, Carl Jung, once astutely observed that everything that irritates us about others can, paradoxically, lead us to a profound understanding of ourselves. This rings with undeniable truth. I gradually came to the realization that the individuals who most frequently stirred my annoyance were not merely showcasing aspects of their own character. Instead, they were exposing unhealed wounds, unresolved issues that resided within my own being. And, crucially, when I consciously chose to cease reacting defensively, I was finally able to perceive the situation for its true essence, a valuable lesson, rather than a threatening challenge. You see, not every comment merits a response, not every insult warrants meticulous unpacking and analysis. Certain things are simply noise, external distractions designed to test the volume of your inner peace. If, however, your inner peace resonates with sufficient strength and clarity, the external noise inevitably diminishes, fading into utter irrelevance. Thus, the key lies in cultivating an inner sanctuary of calm, a place where external disturbances have no power to penetrate. Therefore, guard your peace fiercely, and you shall find strength. That's the genuine measure of strength, the authentic display of resilience, not in demonstrating the keenness of your wit, but rather in showcasing the unyielding nature of your spirit. Let them hurl their criticisms, let them attempt to provoke you, allow them to be submerged in the cacophony of their negativity, while you, with unwavering resolve, emerge unscathed. It's truly remarkable, isn't it, how particular phrases can become deeply ingrained within us. They resonate, not necessarily due to their veracity, but because they strike a vulnerable chord, touching upon something incomplete, something unresolved within your inner self. You may physically distance yourself from a specific event, yet continue to carry it with you mentally, akin to an old, undesirable memento. Have you ever observed this phenomenon? Disrespect, you see, doesn't simply appear and then vanish, it lingers, persisting like an unwelcome visitor who stubbornly refuses to depart. That's precisely how it operates. An individual utters something thoughtless or malicious, and suddenly you find yourself wide awake in the dead of night, replaying the incident, crafting alternative responses, contemplating whether you should have expressed more or acted differently. But here's a crucial insight that is often overlooked: you possess the power to prevent their words from occupying valuable space within your mental landscape. You are not a repository, a storage facility for the projections of others. The Stoics, renowned for their wisdom, understood this principle perhaps better than anyone else. The esteemed Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once proclaimed, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That profound quote resonates particularly deeply when you find yourself repeatedly replaying someone's disparaging remark within the confines of your mind, wouldn't you agree? Thus, by consciously choosing to disengage from the negativity of others, we can safeguard our inner peace and cultivate a more resilient spirit. Consequently, we are empowered to rise above the petty attempts to diminish us and focus on our own personal growth and fulfillment. Furthermore, by embracing this perspective, we not only protect ourselves but also inspire others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of positivity and resilience in the world around us. The sting of disrespectful words often lies less in the initial utterance itself and more in the insidious transformation it undergoes within our own minds. It's the interpretation we assign, the relentless repetition we subject ourselves to, and the dangerous, deceptive allure of believing, even fleetingly, that there might be a grain of truth in the negativity. Disrespect, in essence, is a master of disguise, donning the mask of veracity and preying on our vulnerability, hoping we won't scrutinize it closely enough to challenge its validity. The esteemed psychologist, Carl Jung, wisely observed that what you resist persists, a sentiment that rings profoundly true. However, my personal experience has illuminated that the challenge extends beyond merely resisting unwanted thoughts. It necessitates acknowledging their presence without offering them sanctuary within our mental landscape. Imagine saying, with unwavering conviction, I acknowledge your presence, I understand your manipulative intent, and I firmly declare that you are not welcome to dwell here. This isn't denial, it's an act of profound self-preservation, a conscious choice to safeguard your mental well-being. It's akin to psychological hygiene, a rigorous practice of maintaining the cleanliness and health of your inner world. Because the undeniable truth is that not every opinion deserves internalization, not every barbed insult should be allowed to shape the blueprint of your identity. Often, those who hurl the most vitriolic words are themselves burdened by the weight of unresolved pain and emotional turmoil. Their aggressive outbursts are not a reflection of your true self, nor are they born from a clear perception of you, rather, they stem from a profound lack of self-awareness. In their wounded state, they seek to inflict pain upon others in a desperate attempt to feel a fleeting sense of power. They crave the satisfaction of seeing you crumble, believing it will somehow elevate their own diminished sense of self-worth. However, when you steadfastly deny them that gratification, when you choose to walk away unscathed, unaffected by their venom, and unapologetic for who you are, that is the moment they are confronted with the stark reality that they never possessed any genuine power over you in the first place. It's a powerful act of reclaiming your autonomy and refusing to be defined by the negativity of others. Therefore, cultivate the strength to acknowledge, release, and protect your inner peace from the corrosive influence of disrespect. Disrespect flourishes only when nurtured with attention, when you repeatedly replay the offending moment in your mind. It thrives when you meticulously dissect the tone and craft elaborate, imaginary comebacks within the confines of your thoughts. This constant rumination allows it to multiply, gaining strength with each repetition. However, a transformative shift occurs when you firmly declare, no, this disrespect doesn't belong here. With this declaration, you effectively deprive it of the oxygen it needs to survive. You sever the endless loop of negativity, creating a protective barrier around your inner space, treating it with the reverence it deserves, for indeed, it is sacred ground. Therefore, the next time someone directs a snide remark, a low blow, or a thoughtless insult your way, pause. Take a moment to introspectively question yourself, do I truly desire to carry this burden? Do I wish to perpetually hear these offensive words echoing in my mind every time I close my eyes? If the resounding answer is no, then make your decision final and unwavering. Verbalize it if necessary, loudly proclaiming, I refuse to allow your words to take root and reside within my head. This act is not an admission of weakness, on the contrary, it represents liberation and empowerment. This particular type of power transcends merely silencing your detractors, it also quiets the incessant chatter of your overthinking mind, the insidious whispers of self-doubt, and the desperate urge to rationalize the irrational. It is truly astonishing how frequently individuals reveal their true selves, often without even realizing the extent of their self-disclosure. You might perceive their actions as a direct assault, an attempt to insult and tear you down, but if you listen attentively, you will discern something profoundly different, a confession, subtly veiled in sarcasm and bravado, yet undeniably a confession. The fundamental truth is that people seldom truly address you, instead, they speak from the depths of their own being, projecting their fears, their shame, and the aspects of themselves they desperately avoid confronting. Thus, their words are a reflection of their internal struggles, not a commentary on your worth. And when individuals find themselves feeling insignificant, they often attempt to diminish those around them. This isn't necessarily a reflection of your actual worth, but rather a manifestation of their own internal struggles. They believe that by bringing you down, they can alleviate their own sense of isolation within their misery. Therefore, stoicism becomes incredibly valuable, especially during these trying moments. Indeed, Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, once wisely remarked, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things." In essence, he highlighted the power of perception and the importance of controlling our reactions. When confronted with an insult, the instinctive reaction is often to accept it at face value. We tend to internalize the negativity, allowing it to fester and dictate our response. However, the Stoic adopts a more profound perspective. The Stoic possesses the wisdom to discern the true nature of the situation. They understand that an insult reveals far more about the person delivering it than the intended recipient. Disrespect, in many instances, is simply a cleverly disguised expression of pain, insecurity, or fear, masked as confidence. It's a defense mechanism, a way for the individual to project their own vulnerabilities onto others. I vividly recall a particular incident that perfectly illustrates this concept. I was engaged in a conversation, or rather, a heated debate, that took an unfortunate turn. The person on the opposing side, fueled by frustration, looked directly at me and declared, "You're way too sensitive. You'll never survive out here." In years past, such a remark would have undoubtedly struck a nerve. I would have immediately questioned my own character, perhaps even apologizing for my inherent nature. However, on that particular day, I possessed the clarity to perceive the statement for what it truly was. It wasn't a genuine assessment of my personality, but rather a reflection of their own underlying anxieties and insecurities. It was as if they were holding up a mirror, revealing their deepest fears. Therefore, their words held no power over me, and I remained unshaken. The underlying message they conveyed was not about me, it was a poignant reflection of their inner state. In essence, they were confessing, "I lack the capacity for profound emotional experience. I have desensitized myself to such an extent that I perceive empathy as a vulnerability." Therefore, I regarded them with unwavering composure, and responded, "Thank you for unveiling more about your own inner workings." At that juncture, I witnessed it, that fleeting flicker in their gaze, that instant of realization when they understood I had penetrated their facade. This understanding stems from the concept of projection, brilliantly elucidated by Carl Jung. Projection, you see, is the subconscious redirection of one's own suppressed yearnings or feelings onto another individual. People might level accusations, labeling you as excessively emotional, overly ambitious, or perhaps even naively idealistic. The root cause of these pronouncements is their own discomfort, their own struggle to reconcile with those very same qualities within themselves. They are ill-equipped to navigate the depths of their own being, and as a consequence, they lash out at your own profundity. The instant you grasp this fundamental truth, a profound transformation occurs. Abruptly, you no longer feel assaulted or victimized, instead, you feel enlightened and informed. Their words lose their sting, their capacity to inflict pain diminishes, because you now comprehend that they are not divulging some hidden truth about you. Rather, they are inadvertently exposing their own inner landscape, their own vulnerabilities and insecurities. And that knowledge, that profound understanding, it is true liberation. Because when you respond with a serene observation, a detached analysis, instead of an impulsive, knee-jerk emotional reaction, you essentially hold up a mirror to their own souls, a mirror they were patently unprepared to confront. This act of self-reflection, prompted by your calm demeanor, forces them to acknowledge the very qualities they are desperately trying to suppress, leading to a moment of uncomfortable self-awareness. Consequently, the dynamic shifts, and you gain a newfound sense of control and freedom. Ponder this: when an individual unexpectedly casts unwarranted negativity, their underlying aspiration is to instigate disorder. They yearn to see you agitated, responsive, and thrown off kilter. However, should you counter with composed lucidity, should you meet their gaze and articulate, "You have merely unveiled additional facets of your own character," you effectively cease the entire charade. You invert the narrative entirely. You serve as a reminder, not only to them but also to all observers, that not every confrontation warrants engagement. Certain skirmishes are best suited to be observed with detachment, comprehended with discernment, and gracefully avoided altogether. Indeed, some exchanges are cleverly disguised as genuine dialogues, yet they are, in reality, carefully laid traps. Initially, the deception is not immediately apparent. You venture into the discussion, perceiving it as a simple disagreement, perhaps even one that could yield productive outcomes. However, gradually, you begin to perceive the subtle shifts in tone, the frequent interruptions, the condescending smirks, the veiled insults masquerading as light-hearted jokes. It is at this juncture that the realization dawns. This individual is not genuinely seeking understanding or common ground. Their primary objective is to emerge victorious, or, even more insidiously, to ensnare you within a quagmire, alleviating their own sense of isolation. Consequently, you recognize that this is no longer a sincere exchange of ideas, it has metamorphosed into a tempestuous storm. You have, through experience and personal growth, transcended the need to dance carelessly in the downpour simply to demonstrate your indifference. You have evolved beyond the compulsion to prove your resilience in the face of manufactured drama. Therefore, you choose to preserve your energy and peace of mind, recognizing that your time and emotional investment are far too valuable to be squandered on such unproductive endeavors. A profound sense of maturity undeniably blossoms when you possess the discernment to cease speaking, to gracefully withdraw, to acknowledge that safeguarding your inner tranquility doesn't necessitate a theatrical mic drop or a flamboyant departure. Occasionally, all that's required is a solitary, yet potent, declaration, "I have outgrown this conversation." And in the very instant those words escape your lips, a tangible sensation of liberation washes over you, a palpable lightening of the burden upon your chest. The accumulated tension, the simmering resentment, the emotional tug-of-war you unwittingly found yourself entangled in, all vanish as if they were never there. This is because what once plagued your thoughts and stole your sleep, you now confidently and resolutely turn away from, without a moment's hesitation. The ancient Stoics, those philosophers of enduring wisdom, possessed a specific term to encapsulate this form of self-discipline, this mastery over one's own emotions, ataraxia. This concept describes a luminous and resilient state of equanimity, characterized by a continuous liberation from the grip of distress and the torment of worry. It is a state of inner peace that transcends the everyday tribulations of life. The insightful Epictetus, a leading figure in Stoic thought, once wisely proclaimed, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." This statement resonates deeply, striking at the core of our emotional responses. It reveals a crucial truth, that the vast majority of the drama we willingly step into is, in reality, entirely optional. You are under no obligation to engage in every battle, simply because someone chooses to throw a punch. You are not compelled to debate with individuals who have already made a conscious decision to close their ears and refuse to hear your perspective. Choosing peace, therefore, becomes an act of self-preservation, a conscious decision to prioritize your own well-being above the chaos and negativity that others may try to impose upon you. Thus, embracing the wisdom of knowing when to disengage is paramount to achieving lasting inner harmony and a life free from unnecessary emotional turmoil. Indeed, what is truly essential is cultivating the fortitude to select lucidity over the tumultuous nature of disorder. The esteemed Carl Jung once articulated a profound truth, stating, "What you resist persists, but what you look at and face disappears." Reflect upon that group chat. Its cessation wasn't merely a consequence of my departure, rather, it ceased to hold significance in my life because I chose to disengage. Therein lies the critical distinction. Personal evolution doesn't necessitate triumph, instead, it necessitates a tranquil departure, free from resentment and devoid of the compulsion for external validation. It's about gracefully walking away from that which no longer aligns with the evolved version of yourself, the self you've diligently strived to cultivate. The profound reality underpinning this is simple: you are not obligated to conclude every debate, nor are you required to offer explanations for your periods of silence. Furthermore, it's not your duty to transform detractors into allies. Certain individuals are resolutely committed to misinterpreting your intentions, not because your communication lacks clarity, but rather because understanding you would compel them to confront the cacophony within their own minds. That internal reckoning is not your responsibility. Therefore, the next time someone initiates a distortion of your words, attempts to provoke you with veiled insults, or seeks to manipulate buttons that no longer elicit a reaction, take a moment to pause. You are under no obligation to defend your position, and you certainly don't need to react in kind. Instead, articulate calmly and unambiguously, with all the grace and poise your personal growth has afforded you, "I've outgrown this conversation." Then, with quiet dignity, simply leave. In doing so, you reclaim your energy and reaffirm your commitment to a life of purpose and peace. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to engage in unproductive cycles. It is about choosing yourself. It's the ultimate act of self-respect and a testament to your personal transformation. Embrace the freedom that comes with detachment, and allow yourself to flourish in an environment that nurtures your growth and well-being. Ultimately, this decision will lead you to a more fulfilling and authentic existence. Allow their narratives to unfold and their voices to reverberate, but recognize that your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being beckons you toward more enriching horizons. Indeed, it is a peculiar form of strength, a quiet fortitude, that originates from ceasing to react to the very circumstances that once held the power to dismantle you. Consequently, you no longer resort to shouting, nor do you succumb to trembling, and you don't even exhibit a flinch of discomfort. This is not indicative of emotional numbness, rather, it signifies a state of wholeness, a profound integration of experience. You have confronted your pain head-on, assigned it a name, patiently dwelled in its presence, and ultimately traversed its depths. Therefore, when an individual attempts to provoke you with a reflection of your former self, a self you have consciously and deliberately surpassed, they are met with an impassable barrier, a closed portal, securely locked, meticulously sealed, and fortified with the unwavering strength of acquired wisdom. This profound sense of peace, this unyielding tranquility, is often disconcerting to those who perceive power exclusively through the lens of control and manipulation. Do you truly comprehend the tangible manifestation of healing? Healing manifests when someone reiterates the same unkind words, the same cruel pronouncements they delivered years prior, yet this time, you experience an absence of sensation. It is not apathy, nor is it denial, but rather a profound stillness, a quiet understanding. This is because healing transcends the mere pretense that you were never injured. It is the comprehensive and unwavering recognition of the precise location of the wound, coupled with the undeniable realization that it is no longer a gaping, bleeding chasm. It is closed. It is healed. And that, my friend, is true power. It's about more than just enduring, it's about bearing the weight of memory without being crushed by the pain it once inflicted. And this concept? This often bewilders people, particularly those who formerly reveled in their ability to unsettle you, to shake you to your core. I've encountered individuals who attempt to wield my past against me, flinging it like a weapon, presuming it retains its cutting edge. Perhaps, in a former life, it would have succeeded. Maybe, at one point, their barbs would have sent me spiraling into despair. But not anymore. Now, when I hear these echoes of the past, my reaction is simply, "You're late to the party." That vulnerable iteration of myself no longer resides within these walls. And when I articulate this truth, I don't utter it with arrogance or inflated ego. Instead, it's conveyed with a profound sense of inner peace, with unwavering clarity, and with the quiet certainty that I've diligently undertaken the crucial inner work that most individuals instinctively avoid. The venerable Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "You possess dominion over your own mind, not external occurrences." Recognize this fundamental truth, and you will discover immense strength. That, in essence, is the profound gift that true healing bestows upon you, unwavering control over the inner landscape, the sacred space within yourself. Because let's be honest, the world will persistently test your resolve, and people will invariably continue to throw emotional jabs, attempting to wound and provoke. However, when you've dedicated yourself to the arduous work, when you've courageously sat with your shadows and diligently learned their true names, you come to the powerful realization that no one can ever again exploit them against you. Therefore, I confidently declare, you cannot trigger what I have healed. This isn't merely a defensive posture, it's a powerful declaration of self-mastery, a testament to the transformative power of inner work. It's about owning your story, scars and all, and refusing to let anyone else define you by it. It's about turning pain into strength and using your past as a springboard to a brighter, more resilient future. Thus, the past loses its power, becoming a source of wisdom instead of a burden. Carl Jung, a profound thinker, firmly believed that authentic healing necessitates a confrontation with the shadow self, those concealed aspects of our being that we instinctively strive to bury deep within. He astutely observed, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious, a statement resonating with undeniable truth. Genuine healing, in essence, unfolds when we cease our futile attempts to evade the wound and, instead, embark on a journey of understanding its intricate nature. Instead of relentlessly trying to obliterate the pain, we allow it to sculpt and mold us, transforming us not into beings consumed by bitterness, but rather into individuals of unyielding resilience. This transformation, however, often defies the expectations of others. They anticipate a continuation of our past reactions, tears, anger, defensiveness. Yet, what they encounter instead is an unsettling calm. This newfound serenity unnerves them, for it silently proclaims, I am no longer the person I once was, and you can no longer access that former version of me. Therefore, the next time someone endeavors to provoke you or penetrate your defenses, remember this crucial truth: your healing is not a performance for their benefit. It is not contingent upon their comprehension or validation. It is exclusively for your own inner peace. You did not endure all that anguish merely to remain susceptible to the same trivial disturbances. You did not shatter and subsequently rebuild yourself merely to crumble at the first hint of pressure or adversity. Your journey of healing is a testament to your strength, a declaration of your resilience, and a shield against the negativity that once held sway over you. Embrace your calm, for it is the embodiment of your hard-earned peace. It is a symbol of your triumphant transformation. Your silence, your profound stillness, your seeming lack of reaction, these are often misconstrued as signs of frailty. However, in reality, they stand as irrefutable evidence that the wound, once raw and agonizing, has now transformed into a resilient scar. And scars, my friend, possess a remarkable characteristic: they no longer feel pain. They don't scream in agony, nor do they bleed profusely. Instead, they communicate in a quiet, almost imperceptible manner. They whisper, I endured, I survived, and you, my past tormentor, no longer hold sway over me. There inevitably arrives a pivotal moment in one's life, a turning point where the allure of chaos diminishes, where the seductive nature of drama loses its charm, and where the fleeting satisfaction of being right pales in comparison to the enduring tranquility of inner peace. You cease feeling the compulsive need to prove your worth to anyone, not because you've exhausted your words or arguments, but because you've finally comprehended the exorbitant cost associated with every unnecessary reaction, every impulsive outburst. And it dawns on you that it is simply not worth it. Your energy, that vital force that fuels your being, is a precious and finite resource. Your peace, on the other hand, is truly priceless, an invaluable treasure beyond monetary measure. And once you genuinely internalize this profound understanding, once you deeply embrace its significance, you begin to treat your peace as the most valuable currency you possess, safeguarding it with unwavering vigilance. In the past, I, too, was guilty of granting everyone unfettered access to my emotional reserves. If you sought an argument, I would eagerly meet you on the battlefield of words. If you cast shadows of negativity, I would retaliate with equal measure. If you dared question my motives or actions, I would exhaust myself with explanations, desperately attempting to prove the fallacy of your assumptions. However, with each such interaction, with each defensive maneuver, I inadvertently relinquished a fragment of myself, a piece of my hard-earned calm, my unwavering confidence, my crystal-clear clarity. This continued until one fateful day, I realized with startling clarity that I was hemorrhaging energy, expending it freely on individuals who were utterly undeserving of even a single drop. It was a painful, but ultimately liberating, revelation. That was the pivotal moment, the turning point. Everything underwent a significant transformation. I consciously ceased interacting with anything that threatened to disrupt my inner equilibrium. I resolved to no longer allow every inconsequential distraction, every metaphorical, barking dog, to divert me from my chosen path. As Seneca so eloquently stated, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This profound truth encapsulates the very essence of what transpires when we permit the wrong individuals to occupy valuable mental space without contributing anything positive. These unwelcome guests do not simply interrupt the flow of your day, they insidiously begin to mold your very thoughts, pilfer your concentration, and ultimately, distort your inner peace. However, there is undeniably good news to be shared. Just as you initially granted them entry, you possess the power to firmly show them the exit. Peace is not a passive state of being, rather, it is an active and deliberate choice, a resolute boundary established between yourself and the cacophony of external noise. Carl Jung, in his wisdom, once remarked, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Yet, here is the crucial caveat: you cannot possibly evolve into that authentic version of yourself if you are perpetually reacting to individuals who, ironically, do not even possess a clear understanding of their own identities. This is precisely the inherent problem with allowing every voice to penetrate and influence your life. It is essential to recognize that not all voices emanate from a place of clarity and insight. Some originate from a state of profound confusion, from psychological projection, and from a desperate yearning to feel a sense of power and control in a life that otherwise feels unmanageable. Therefore, if you are not exceedingly vigilant, their inherent chaos will inevitably become your own personal confusion. This is a risk you simply cannot afford to take if you value your mental well-being and strive to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. In this present moment, I safeguard my inner tranquility as if it were the most precious gold. I do not offer concessions on it, nor do I entertain disrespect with negotiation. Furthermore, I find no need to elucidate my moments of silence to those individuals who merely listen with the intent to retort. Should someone attempt to lure me into conflict, I allow the bait to decay and decompose. If a snide remark is made, I respond with a smile, as if it never reached my ears, and perhaps, in truth, it did not. You see, when one is attuned to a state of inner peace, the ears cease to capture the distracting static of the world. Instead, the spirit begins to meticulously filter what is truly deserving of one's focused attention. Let me assure you, this approach is not rooted in arrogance, rather, it stems from a place of disciplined self-awareness. It is a conscious choice to value the richness of one's inner world above any fleeting validation from external sources. Peace, you see, is not simply the absence of disruptive noise, it is the deliberate decision to abstain from engaging with it, from dancing to its discordant tune. Not every barking dog warrants your precious attention, some are simply driven by the desire to hear the sound of their own voices. Let them bark, for you are resolutely walking towards something far grander, something truly significant. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to protect your peace as if it were the most valuable gold, because, in reality, it truly is. Each and every instance where you choose not to react is an investment in your own well-being, a deposit into the treasury of your inner self. Each time you release something from your grasp, you are actively selecting evolution over the limitations of the ego. Every occasion where you maintain silence instead of retaliating, you are, in essence, creating space for clarity to dawn, for purpose to flourish, and for enduring joy to take root and thrive in your life. Thus, guard your peace, for it is the foundation upon which a fulfilling life is built. That's not weakness, it is, in fact, wisdom, a profound understanding of the human condition. In a world that thrives, regrettably, on your outrage, your inner calm becomes a potent act of rebellion, a silent but powerful statement against the prevailing madness. There exists something deeply unsettling, even unnerving, to others when they find themselves unable to shake you, to rattle your composure. When you stand calm in the face of utter chaos, a beacon of serenity in a storm of emotions, it throws them off balance. The inability to provoke you, to elicit a reaction, further amplifies this unease. It's as if you possess an inner shield, deflecting their attempts to draw you into their emotional turmoil. And perhaps most significantly, when you don't feel the slightest need to defend your inherent worth, your value as a human being, it speaks volumes about your self-assurance. This is not weakness, not by any stretch of the imagination. This is power, but not the loud, bombastic kind that seeks attention and validation. It's not the flashy, ego-driven kind that craves dominance and recognition. Instead, it's the quiet, steady kind, the unwavering strength that emanates from knowing exactly who you are, from understanding your place in the universe. This is the power the Stoics referred to when they spoke of strength, not in terms of bulging muscles or physical dominance, but in the mastery of one's inner world, the control over one's thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You see, the real flex, the true display of power, isn't a clever comeback, a witty retort designed to humiliate your opponent. It's a centered response, a measured reaction that comes from a place of inner peace and understanding. It's not needing to win every argument, to prove your point at all costs. It's knowing that you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to, that you can choose to disengage from conflict and preserve your inner peace. As Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, wisely stated, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This profound statement forms the very cornerstone of this entire journey, this pursuit of inner strength and resilience. It's the crucial realization that control isn't found in domination, in forcing your will upon others. Instead, it's found in restraint, in the ability to govern your own actions and reactions. We unfortunately inhabit a world that often rewards the loudest voice, the fastest reply, the flashiest reaction, the most immediate and dramatic response. However, these are not, in reality, signs of genuine strength. They are often merely symptoms of underlying instability, a lack of inner peace and self-control. Therefore, cultivate calmness, embrace restraint, and discover the true power that lies within. True power resides in stillness, a profound concept often overlooked in our frantic world. It isn't about bluster or aggression, but rather a measured and deliberate force. Indeed, true strength manifests as the capacity to pause, to collect oneself when others erupt in fury. It's the disciplined ability to choose silence amidst the clamor of yelling voices, opting instead to speak only when your words possess an undeniable weight. This weight doesn't stem from mere volume, but from being deeply rooted in truth. The eminent psychologist, Carl Jung, possessed a keen understanding of this principle. He once articulated, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This statement underscores the essence of genuine composure. The true trial of calmness arises when confronted with another's disrespect. Instead of impulsively reacting, the empowered individual introspectively questions what this disrespect seeks to illuminate within themselves. It's not about judging the other person, but about gaining self-awareness. Every reaction, after all, serves as a reflection of our inner state, and conversely, every non-reaction holds the potential for profound revelation. Therefore, handling disrespect with grace is not synonymous with passivity. On the contrary, it's about resolutely refusing to relinquish control of your emotions to another. It's about anchoring yourself so deeply in your core identity that external forces find it impossible to shake you, unless you consciously permit it. This isn't a sign of weakness, rather, it signifies precision and immense power. It's an active choice to remain grounded. Consequently, the next time someone attempts to agitate you, testing the limits of your boundaries, launching a thoughtless insult, or casting shadows in the hope of enticing you to dance in the dark, remember this fundamental truth: calm is not a sign of weakness. Calm, in fact, is a potent weapon, a shield against manipulation, and a source of unwavering strength. Thus, cultivate this inner stillness, and you will find yourself navigating the storms of life with unparalleled resilience and grace. Therefore, embrace the power of stillness, and you will discover a wellspring of inner strength that transcends mere reactivity. It serves as a powerful declaration, a signal that your inner tranquility is absolutely non-negotiable. It underscores that your self-worth is not contingent upon fleeting applause or external validation. Moreover, it conveys that your silence is a deliberate choice, brimming with intention, rather than an indication of emptiness. One carefully crafted sentence, delivered with unwavering calm and conviction, possesses the remarkable ability to send ripples through an entire room. Imagine uttering the words, "I am not the one. You cannot trigger what I have diligently healed. I have simply outgrown this unproductive conversation." Deliver this declaration with crystal clarity, allowing the weight of your words to resonate. Subsequently, gracefully withdraw, retaining everything they sought to diminish or take from you. The reason for this confident departure: you recognize that not every perceived battle deserves your precious energy or engagement. It is crucial to discern which confrontations are truly worthy of your attention and which are merely distractions. If these sentiments have resonated deeply within you, I invite you to explore an additional video currently displayed on your screen. This resource delves even further into the art of mastering your emotions and fortifying your inner peace. Consider this viewing as a natural extension of your ongoing personal growth and development. Allow it to further illuminate your path towards emotional resilience. And finally, a sincere expression of gratitude for your valued participation as part of the community. The journey we are embarking on together is not about attaining an unattainable state of perfection. Instead, it is fundamentally about striving for continuous self-improvement, becoming stronger, cultivating greater calmness, and making more conscious and deliberate decisions, one transformative choice at a time. Therefore, embrace the process, acknowledge your progress, and continue to nurture your growth, one step at a time.